Good morning, folks. It's great to be here with you today. Just as a note, in case you're not aware, this is a recorded session. So you will be able to access this following the session. And if there's somebody else that you know that may be interested, please do encourage them to take a look at it. So it's my pleasure to be with you today. I'm going to talk to you about our online micro certificates and specifically focus in today on the ones around natural resources management. But to begin, I would like to acknowledge that I live and work on the UBC Vancouver campus, where our Faculty of Forestry is located, and it's situated within the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. So my name is Dr. Sheri Andrews-Key. I am the director of our Faculty of Forestry micro certificates. I oversee all of the micro certificates in different areas across our faculty. And I also lead the one on climate vulnerability and adaptation, which is where a lot of my specialization lies within the forest sector and that. And through the different experiences I've had, we've had the opportunity to look at developing this type of programming, recognizing a need for the professional sector. So to talk a little bit about the micro certificates in general, they operate over an 8 to 9 week time period during each session, and they are completely online. Now, during that time, you have some flexibility for when you can access the materials. So all the materials in each micro certificate will be available to you during the time that you're enrolled for that session. And over that time, so for example, the micro certificates either consist of 4 courses in total or 3 courses. And so for the first course, if that is a 2-week or a 3-week course, you have the flexibility within that 2 to 3 week time period to complete all of the requirements. So that would be any of the online lectures, reading materials, assignments, other media things that you're given there as resources, etc. And also in each of our micro certificates, we have what we call a coffee hour. And that is once a week with the leads of the program. And it's a 1.5 hour session where they often bring in guest speakers from different sectors that relate specifically to the context of your micro certificate, or have a discussion time with different students that are in the course. So these are recorded sessions. They're not mandatory because we do understand that we need flexibility in our programs and that some of you may not be able to meet at those scheduled times for the coffee hour. So they're recorded and posted in the Canvas catalog, which is our online platform that you would be working in for you to view afterwards. So even if you can't be a part of it, you can still see what was and listen to what was talked about, and even follow up with the leads after that. So when we developed these micro certificates, the faculty recognized that there was a real need out there across different sectors for natural resource management and different things that are happening in the environment on different levels. And these are also issues that are not just to Canada, these are relevant across the globe. And so in recognizing those, we recognized that there was also a gap in some skills and competencies that we needed to address. So when we develop these programs, they really do focus on specific skills and competencies that practitioners, professionals like yourselves need to acquire to be able to do these complicated different types of management out there, with a lot of the environmental and social issues that we're being challenged with in the natural resource sector. So it helps bring the theory into practice and giving you that much more applied, practical sense of things. So through our natural resource management focused micro certificates, we have climate action and community engagement, climate vulnerability and adaptation, co-management of natural resources, communication strategies for resource practitioners, forest carbon management, forest health, and forest landscape or landscape level forest modeling. Now, I'm going to go through the skills and competencies for each of these, but also encourage you to look, if you're interested, go a little bit more in depth, and please take a look at our Faculty of Forestry micro certificate websites. Click on the program that you're interested in, and it goes through a lot of detail of what is offered in there, who these types of skills and competencies are geared towards. And one of the other exciting things that I think is great about all of our micro certificates is that once you successfully complete each course, you receive what we call a digital badge. And that digital badge is able to be used on something like your LinkedIn. And in that, it contains a drop-down menu that will tell the skills and competencies that you've actually gained by completing the individual course. And then once you complete the entire micro certificate, so if it's like all 3 or all 4 courses, you will receive an overall digital badge certificate that has all of those skills and competencies that you have gained. And it's a great thing to be able to use to demonstrate to current or prospective employers what you're able to do, what you have to offer. And also with that, just a point that's important to note, with this idea of flexibility for working professionals, you don't have to complete all of the courses during one session. So for example, if you were going to register for this coming fall session and you don't feel that you have the bandwidth with your other obligations to complete all 4 or all 3 courses during that time period, you can take a look at the schedule and say, okay, right now I'm just going to tackle course 1 in climate action and community engagement. So you could register just for that one course, and then from the date that you register, so that would be October 2024, you have a full 2 years to get those additional courses and complete the entire certificate, if that is the flexibility that you need. If you do have the bandwidth to do it all at once, you would start it in October and you would be finished in December of 2024. So please do, each of the individual micro certificates already have the fall offering schedule online, and please do take a look at that if you're interested and you figure out which option would be your best. And we recognize that you do need that flexibility, so we're here to work with you on that. So now to dive into the individual courses under the natural resource management focus, looking at climate action and community engagement, skills and competencies that you would gain by taking this micro certificate would include getting a better understanding of what climate change actually is, and what low carbon resilience means at the local scale for communities. This is more urban and community focused, and It's also, this is a type of a program that could be very useful for non-government organizations or people that have really no background in climate change and climate action at a community or urban level and want to start building those skills. So there's knowledge building, looking at local aspects of climate change, some climate solutions. We have some toolkits in there that you can use to help start to build these actions and techniques for effective engagement strategies and things like that for small scale and for the community and climate action. Moving into the climate vulnerability and adaptation microcertificate, this one really deals with looking at the climate vulnerability assessment process. How do we do it? How does it fit? And through this microcertificate, you actually have the opportunity of building your own small scale climate vulnerability assessment. So by the time you complete this, you would have that as a portfolio item or something that you could actually use for your organization that you're already working with. And it actually does go through how you build these in different models and frameworks that are out there, how you actually use this to inform sustainable management. Now, it does have a lot of forest management examples in there, but the overall theory and application applies to any sector. So for example, we have had individuals from urban environments, urban foresters from the US taking this program. We have also had engineers working with Department of Highways in Ontario and doing a vulnerability assessment on a stretch of highway that was under development and building that into their strategies and their engineering plans. We also look at how you identify key risks in a more proactive approach and how you actually move to action. This is where a lot of things fail out there. And so really taking that piece and move to action. For our co-management of natural resources, this is a partnership microcertificate that we have with our Haida Institute. And we have some excellent instructors. There's different instructors for the 3 different courses in this. And it looks at building professional and personal skills and competencies, working at that interface for Indigenous and other knowledge systems, and helping to understand and explain some of the challenges that we have historically and looking at systemic inequalities and institutional failure so that we can learn from those and we can move forward in a more proactive way, looking at the legal precedents in Aboriginal law in Canada and policy and intercultural relationships, and really looking at opportunities for truth and reconciliation and strategies for creating and advancing co-management in the natural resource sector for your own professional context as well. Moving into our communication strategy for resource practitioners, this is something that we have recognized and we work with a lot of agencies on identifying where are the real gaps out there. Because as resource practitioners, we're finding that a lot of what we do is so intertwined at that social level that we really do need, we're dealing often more with people than with our natural environment in a lot of resource management. And this is something where skills and competencies need to be built up, and helping provide different strategies so that you can understand how to craft and tailor messages for diverse audiences, how you can increase your communication, your presentation skills, looking at how we can better explain and disseminate information, and how we can build this in with case studies, with different opportunities to bridge the gap here in communications between, you know, internal in your organization and also external with stakeholders, other organizations, etc. So this is for really practical on the ground application. Now, we all know that forest carbon management is a really big movement out there. There's a lot of work happening around this. There's also a lot of complexity that's involved in this. And in this program, we have, you know, excellent leads that are out there working in this space on a regular basis. But that being said, through all of our programs, all of our leads have really practical, grounded experience in what they're teaching. So in this, it helps us better understand greenhouse gas inventories and the role that forests play in this, and the carbon cycle, looking at different scales for this, how it's accounted for, looking at how we can do monitoring and model carbon stocks and emissions, looking at how we can look at the different projects that are currently underway or have been done. How do they compare with each other? And, you know, what might be best in your specific context? And looking at both domestic and international markets for this. And this is a really evolving space. So our leads that work on this are constantly making sure that the most up-to-date information and application is integrated into this program. Moving into forest health management, this is an issue, you know, that especially in the face of climate change, we have seen, you know, increasing challenges and leading into things like increased forest fire risk and other issues out there within our natural landscapes. So this is one where it gives you a better understanding of forest insect biology, ecology, and population dynamics. You really get a better idea of what forest disease biology is, ecology, looking at, you know, what are our forests being affected by right now? What are some of the big issues out there too? How do we identify these, and how do we actually manage for them? This course is taught by two very well-known experts in the field, Alan Carroll and Richard Hamlin, that are both members of the Faculty of Forestry. And they have spent a long time working in this area. And so they do an excellent job of really bridging that gap between the theory and the application. And then leading into our landscape level forest modeling, this is an area that, you know, we have an actual registered professional forester who is also part of our faculty, who leads this one. She has been very involved in a lot of the work out there, and really works to help students understand the role of forest modeling and how this can apply on the ground, and how you can use this in landscape level forest management planning and management, be able to look at how you can analyze and interpret the data, which can be challenging, and what type of data sources should you be using for the models. Kathleen really works to help you look at these issues for forest resource management, some of the key real problems out there, and then how do you look at strategic examples using landscape modeling to help to solve those. And this one also is a micro certificate that can help if you are doing your training to become a registered professional forester in British Columbia, and it also helps you meet some of those skills and competencies that you will need for that as well. So please do look at the website for this and for any of the other ones for more detailed information if you're interested in them specifically. Overall, generally, we have one set fee for our program. Our tuition is $2,400 Canadian for the entire program. Now, if you are an international student, this price remains the same. There's not a separate pricing system for international. So that is $2,400 if you register for the whole program. The current applications will close on October 1st. And right now, we are waiting for those of you that are in British Columbia and are residents. You may be aware of the Future Skills grants that the British Columbia government provided last fall for upskilling of the workforce for training such as micro-certificate training. And in that funding, what they do for BC residents, if you apply and are accepted, they cover the tuition for the program. Now, we're just waiting on final word from the province on where things stand with the amount that's available for this funding. So we're waiting to open up our registration officially. Once we get word on that, because it needs to be linked with our registrations. So if you are interested in our programs, you can go to the website and you can join the wait list, and then you will be notified once the registration officially opens for our fall session, which again will run from October to December of 2024. And we will be, after that, usually we'll post the next session, the schedule for it, at least that will be up by mid-October. And so our next session after that will run about beginning of February to the middle of April. And we have a bit of a break in there. So you can also learn more. Here is our website address. And if after this, your questions aren't answered, you've taken a detailed look at the website, you still have more questions, please feel free to send us an email at theforestry.microcert@ubc.ca, and we would be happy to talk to you. So I've given you a quick rundown and overview of these specific programs that really fit within natural resource management. And I'd be happy to open it up and answer any questions that you may have. So I see I'm going to pull up the chat here. Okay, I see a hand there. Please go ahead.
Hi, Sheri. I can't start my video for some reason, but I have a question. So I'm interested in the forest carbon management program. You had mentioned that each program or each course, and I might be getting the exact terminology wrong, but has like 3 or 4 individual sort of sections to it. Is that the case for this one as well, the forest carbon management?
Yeah, so thank you, first of all, for your question. Good question. So all of our micro certificates either have 3 or 4 courses in them. So for the forest carbon management one, that specific one has 4 different courses throughout the micro certificate. So each course runs over 2 weeks.
Okay. And is there a way to like learn more about exactly what courses those are?
Yes, definitely. So if you were to go on the Faculty of Forestry UBC micro certificate website.
Uh-huh.
Then you would see all of the micro certificates that we have. So you could click on the forest carbon management one, and it goes through in detail. You get a detailed overview of what the courses are, what the timelines are, who, you know, this may be applicable to. It gives you some details about the program leads and those types of things in there.
That sounds good. Thank you so much, Sheri.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay, so you can feel free to raise your hand. I might not see it here, but I'm also looking in the chat here. Okay, to look at, does the landscape level forest modeling just look at timber values? Or can it be used for other values on the landscape? It can be used for other values on the landscape, but if you want to also follow up and send me an email, and if you want to discuss this in more detail, I would be happy to connect you with Kathleen, with our lead on this as well. Okay, Marie, your question about why forest management planning is not included in the scope shown. Okay, I'm not quite sure, but do you mean like forest management planning as a micro certificate?
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I saw a line, but I think your colleague has already answered that this is not starting this year.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes. So that's coming. Kathleen is actually going to be teaching that as well. And that will be starting in February.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's great to get these things figured out. Okay, so Diana and Chris, would pest and diseases in the forest health program be relevant to urban trees? Yes, definitely. And I mean, so a lot of these issues that we have in our natural forests, they are also issues that we're having in our urban forestry situation. I mean, for example, you can look at Stanley Park and hemlock looper and forest health challenges there. Will it cover everything that may pertain to trees that would not be planted in the natural forest? No. But you could always, Richard and Alan are really great. Like, these are questions that you could specifically ask if you did decide to take the program. And in general, like, the theory would build that knowledge base around overall forest health, whether that's going to be urban or in, you know, more of the natural forest environment. Okay, so for there are no entry requirements. That's a great question. Thank you. I should have mentioned that. All you have to do is apply. So you don't have to submit, there's no application fee, and you just have to register for the programs. Now, if you go and you take a look at, you know, the specific individual programs that we offer, it's a good thing to read through that to get an idea if you feel that you have enough background in that to take it. Some of the courses you can take it regardless, like for the climate vulnerability and adaptation one, for example, the one that I lead, I have had accountants who have absolutely no background in the sciences or anything have taken it. I had somebody who has a organic sheep farm in Manitoba who took it, and they were actually doing a climate vulnerability assessment on their business and their farming operation. So you don't really, some of them you may want to have some forest background for, or even some general science background, such as forest health. But and of course you will need some background for landscape modeling, and you can check that out on the website. But the tuition includes tax, everything. There are no extra fees. It is so if you were to register for the fall session for a full micro certificate, your fees would be $2,400. That's it. And I think Fabian and Sonia have done really good jobs at answering some of this on there. Does anyone else have any other questions or anything for me?
Sorry, hi, it's Marie here. I just have a quick one. I don't live in Canada. I just have a question around time zone. I know you mentioned about the scheduling, but in terms of time zone or live sessions, would the sessions be recorded in general? Or are
Yes.
they only for live?
No, Marie, the live sessions are recorded as well. So what you would see if you end up taking one of our micro certificates, there are already pre-recorded lectures that are on the Canvas catalog website that you can watch. And then when we have a coffee hour, we record that, and then it gets posted right in the Canvas catalog just following the actual coffee hour session. So whenever we have it, so that if you're in a different time zone, you can access it. I did have a student from Seoul, Korea one time take the climate vulnerability and adaptation micro certificate. And so she could never make it to those. So she was always able to access the recorded session. And then she did actually have some things that she wanted to discuss in more detail. So as the program lead, I made accommodations to meet with her separately, just in another Zoom. And all of our leads are willing to do that as well. So if you're not available when it is actually scheduled, you can watch it. And then if you want to have like a Zoom meeting, no problem.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? So just as a point of interest, we do, it's an expanding program that we have within the Faculty of Forestry. We are also having another information session, I believe tomorrow, and on our bioeconomy, circular economy suite of micro certificates. And the next week we have a session on our mass timber micro certificates. Lots of exciting things happening in this space. And I'm sure the reason why you're here is because you're seeing it out there as professionals that, there's a lot of challenges that maybe our previous training never provided that to be able to deal with a lot of those things. So this also provides you with an opportunity to connect with others maybe from other sectors, different backgrounds in that. But to be able to share and to have conversations around this, we set up discussion forums within in the online environment there for respectful dialogue to go back and forth on any of the things that people may want to talk about. So yeah, we can, there's lots of opportunities there, and just so that you know, when we do develop these micro certificates, there's a lot of work that goes into the background of it. Making sure that we're being relevant as to what is needed in the workforce, in this space out there. And we work with organizations like the Forest Professionals of British Columbia, and we work with other professional organizations, engineering, architecture, etc., whatever is relevant for the different programs we're offering, to make sure that we're offering quality, really upskilling, and constantly making sure that we're keeping up on what the latest needs are, and taking, you know, your comments and feedback into consideration, and that as we continue to move forward, because we really recognize that we want to be able to provide this for professionals out there. Often, you know, you graduate and that's kind of it, and you're so busy with all the challenges and things that you have that come with being a working professional. It can be hard to fit in additional training and upskilling. So that's part of what we're doing here. All right, just trying to look down here in if there's any more questions. I'm just gonna pull up a document here. See if I can access any questions here. Fabian, I can't access that. If you could maybe. Okay, so for the grants, Diana, I'm not a complete expert on this, but from my experience with the past, and what I do know is for the BC grants, they have decreased the amount of dollars on a provincial scale that's going to be available. And I think that they would only cover one program. Now I don't know if that's one program each year, if they continue to offer it. That would be something that you'd have to look into. And then Sabrina, your question about how many hours per week is one course. So each course, if you have a two-week course, it's approximately 7 hours of learner time per week. So each course would be like a 2-week course would be approximately 14 to 16 hours of your time. And that's to do everything. Now, you know, some people may spend longer, some people may not spend as long and make it through, but that is the general guideline there, that it's approximately 7 hours a week. And that's, you know, including completing any assignments, watching lectures, reading materials, etc. So I hope that helps you there. And the deadline for the registration for the fall is October 1st. So you've got some time there, and you're welcome to go on and look at joining the wait list for any program that you may be interested in. Okay, so another question that I had is, will the co-management of natural resources include any discussion about ungulate species, deer, moose, and elk? Not that I'm aware of, but I can forward that question to one of the instructors. The co-management of natural resources focuses more on the people side of things, and not the specific management of species or land base. And looking at Okay, so we answered the question about the urban forestry one and insect and disease. For the question on prerequisites for landscape level forest modeling, if you have basic GIS, I think that would be fine, but if you want to reach out and send an email to the forestry microcert at ubc.ca, I can pass that along to our program lead, and she can discuss that with you better. Probably be better for the two of you to have a conversation about that, just to make you feel more comfortable as well. I think that pretty much covers most of our questions. Anybody else have any questions or things you'd like to ask before we wrap up here today? Okay, well, I really appreciate everybody joining. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and hear me speak about our UBC micro certificate programming. And we're here. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. And I hope to see you in our programs at some time. And yeah, please do keep an eye out, because we're in the process of developing some more, and they're going to be coming soon. And yeah, it's a really exciting space. So very grateful for your time and your questions. And again, feel free to reach out, and have a great rest of your day.